So we're going to take a look at this recursive sequence and see if we can't get our calculator to plug some stuff in and do the work for us. Because other than a few of the small numbers, it becomes really a pain to calculate these things. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn about another mode to your calculator. If you've ever noticed, this key where you press the X has a couple other letters on it too, right? What else do you see? T, theta, and N. Yeah. So those different letters correspond to different modes you can have your calculator in, so hit the mode key. If you go down to the line that says function, those variables represent or equate to the different modes you can have. Parametric mode would use a T. Polar mode, both of those you'll learn about in trigonometry. And then finally sequential mode, which is what we want. So go all the way to the end there and press the enter key. Now when you do that, going back up to the equation editor, you're going to see something much different. So when we hit the equation editor, oh wow, looks a lot different, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. So what do we want to do? Well, if we're going to define something recursively, we kind of want to mimic what this formula is right here. The only difference is that our calculator uses a U, we happen to use an A. All right, no big deal. We're going to rewrite things in terms of U, but it's still going to be kind of the same thing. So coming back here to my equation editor, I want to put in the general form of that, which is going to be 2 times parenthesis. Now you don't need to hit the times key. Your calculator understands that that's there. But I need a U. Can anyone see a U on my calculator here someplace?
Yeah, the 5. Alpha 5.
That'd be the wrong U that we need to use. Look in the blue.
Second 7.
Yeah, hit second and then 7. That's going to be the U that we want to use. Now I want U parenthesis n minus 1. I want the n minus 1 term, not the nth term, because it's defined recursively. So parentheses. And now let's come up here to our old favorite key, the X key, and press that. And what do you notice instead of the usual X that we have? Yeah, now it's an N. So on n minus 1, parentheses. So there you go. Now you got 2 times U sub n minus 1 plus 3, close parenthesis. That's our general recursive formula here. What about this little step below here? U sub 1. What do you think I should be putting there? 4. That's the first term in your sequence. If you have this defined recursively, then you need to tell it, well, where do you start? What's the first term in the sequence? Yes?
When I come to you, you have to break because, like, my calculator is not.
Yes. So, all right, let's take care of something else here. Let's double check our tables settings here. So hit the second key, then the table set. You should have independent set to auto, independent set to ask, dependent set to auto. If you have something different than that, make some changes. So for instance, go down to this line, cursor to the right, and press enter so that it's set at ask. And then for dependent, set it at auto. Once we have that, let's go to our table. So I'm going to hit the second key, then the graph key. And let's just delete all that stuff there. We can type things in ourselves. If you type in a 1, it says, yeah, okay, we got you. You know, a sub 1 is 4. But now we can type in a 2 or a 3. Oops, how about a 3? And then a 4. And here's kind of the cool thing. Let's just jump up a little bit. It's like, you know, let's do something interesting, like a sub 50. Wow. A sub 50 got pretty big. How can you tell it got pretty big?
The E.
The E15, yeah. So it's 5.629, let's see, quadrillion. So, yeah, it goes billions, trillions, quadrillions. So, yeah, that'd be a pretty big number.
100
Quadrillions.
is E30.
What's that?
100 is E30.
E30? Yeah, I run out of vocabulary up that high. Somewhere near there, a couple orders of magnitude up, I think is undecillion. And somebody a few years ago sued somebody for, like 2 undecillion dollars, which sent a lot of lawyers looking up, in Google to find out just how much money that was. So,
Also,
yeah.
negative, if you do negative, it gives an error.
Yeah, so the thing about this is that the only thing you can type in is just regular integer numbers. If you try typing in a 0.5, it's not going to like it. It's not going to like it if you type in a negative number. You have to type in positive integers. And in fact, one other thing we can do, if we'd like to, let's see, let's quit this. We can graph this. Now our graph's going to look a little bit different than it would if we were plugging things in just terms of x's. So let me take a look back here and do a little thinking. If you hit the window key, it says, well, let's graph the first so many points. Let's graph the first n equals 6 points, because I think after the next one, it's going to start to get pretty big. X min, let's go from 0 to 10 would be good enough. On the y-axis, I'll go from 0 to, let's do 160, and we'll scale it by 25s. So like I said, what's different about this is that when you graph things, it's not going to give you a nice line. It's only going to plot the points. So your points should look like that. And Ellie, you mentioned something about exponential growth earlier. This does look like it has some exponential growth in it because it's taking off really, really fast. One last thing you can do here if you wanted to, which is another way of finding these numbers, if you hit the trace key and you start moving around, you're getting the same things again. So it's kind of like best of both worlds almost. You got the graph and you're getting the table values. So, okay, are you comfortable with that? Do I need to reiterate anything on that?
Could you go over how you got to the sequence?
Yeah, you missed a few.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'd use that.
that's okay. But yeah, you're going to have to change the mode and then plug in that equation here in your equation editor. So the mode you want to choose is sequential mode. So, all right, let me end this here and maybe post that so you can catch up to that. And healthy computing.